Hello and welcome to episode number 41 of the Wise Guys podcast. JReys is back with us today. Probably not a happy camper after the Yankees' disappointing loss. Today we're going to be talking about our NBA playoff predictions, our finals picks, which we didn't get to in our last episode number 39, and then we're going to debut a new segment around here, Sound the Alarm. I'm going to name NBA teams, I'm going to give the expectation, and you guys are going to sound the alarm, or you're going to continue going on. And last but not least, of course, JReys is back. We have to get his take on the Yankees, who just can't win a playoff game. JReys, starting off with you. How are you feeling this Sunday morning?
Brandon, wipe that smile off your face. All right, do me that favor. I'm very disappointed. I'm depressed. I've always said, listen, I'm not your average spoiled Yankee fan. I was born in '98, so I didn't get to see the dynasty completely. The one that I truly remember is '09, and since then it's just been disappointment in the playoffs over and over again. Same song and dance. The Yankees can't hit right-handed power pitching. It just seems like nothing has changed. And after this season, if we do indeed get swept tonight at our home, I've never been this guy because I'm human. I would never push for somebody's firing, but I think there has to be a change in both the managerial spot and the general managerial spot because it's the same song and dance. Nothing is changing whatsoever. This team needs a complete cultural overhaul because every year it comes down to we go into the postseason with the questions about pitching and what steps up. The pitching always steps up. The bats let us down, and we can't score a run. Our plate approach is disgusting. It's depressing. It's depressing. And the more I talk about it, the more sad I get. Unfortunately, I'm so invested in my Yankees that every October my mood depends on what the hell they do. So I haven't been much of a happy camper the last 12 years in October. So
Bring back Joey G.
no, Joey G got fired from Philly, and Philly's one game away from going to the World Series. So
Oh,
yeah. So
I thought
I
he was still
think,
their coach.
I used to love Joe Girardi, and I was a big fan of his move to Philly. But I don't know who's going to be the new answer, but unfortunately, it's not Aaron Boone. We'll see what happens tonight. Ask me again how I feel tomorrow.
When the Yankees come back from down 3-0.
If that happens, that would be my World Series.
Yeah, you guys haven't had too many of those victories in recent years.
Yeah, thanks for
So
the reminder.
of course, I have to let you know. This episode is brought to you by our friends at BetStamp. When it comes to sports betting, you want to maximize your return. And what BetStamp is committed to is providing you with the best odds because you want to have versatility in the sports books you can take a look at. When it comes to visuals, graphic representation, and even custom betting trackers to help you stay in the game, you're going to be involved in the right way. You're going to stay educated, know the exact market, and make the most money that you're putting in. So be sure to download the BetStamp app and use our referral code at WiseGuys, WISEGUYS. And as always, back to the show. So starting off, I've spent a lot of time this offseason prepping my NBA season predictions, the standings, and I want to start off by giving you guys my finals pick this year. We're going to also, look at the seedings, what your prediction is. I'm going to say it. Both of these teams have not looked good so far this year, but I'm not hitting the panic button. I had the Nuggets and the 76ers matching up in the finals. But there's a very good case. This is really two teams with fighters or punchers chances. There's two other teams that I had them beating in the conference finals that can beat them easily in a playoff series. But starting off my seeding predictions, I really should have given these before, but it's okay. I had the Timberwolves finishing as the number 1 seed. So they're going to play the Lakers in round 1. That is my number 8 seed. I have the T-Wolves beating them in 7 games. My 2-7 matchup in the Western Conference is the Nuggets and the Pelicans. I got the Nuggets beating them. My 3-6 matchup is Grizzlies Warriors. I have the Warriors winning that. The Grizzlies would be a first round exit. And my 4-5 matchup, how could it not be? Clippers versus Mavericks. The third time between these two teams. The last 2 series went to 7 games and were very highly contested, with Luka going to the playoffs the first time, putting on an absolute show. Be really fun to watch that. Now, unfortunately for Luka, I think the Clippers best him in that series, and they go on to play the Warriors in the second round of the playoffs. And I think the Clippers are the perfect matchup for Golden State. You talk about versatility, depth, coaching, three-point shooting, defense. They have everything, the size, length, to really give Golden State challenges on both ends of the ball. And I think there's even more to be seen with the Clippers, given all of these stars coming back from injury and young players too, that I don't think have quite hit their ceiling yet. So I had the Clippers matching up with the Nuggets in the conference finals after the Nuggets deal with Karl Anthony Towns and the T-Wolves in round two. That's what leads me to my Western Conference NBA team, or finals team. For the Eastern Conference, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers finishing as the number one seed. Now, Darius Garland has been out the last game with an eye laceration. That's like the most scary injury, dude. And I'm very happy he's not going to have to undergo surgery. He should be back soon. But I still have them finishing as the number one seed, beating the Brooklyn Nets in the first round. The Nets, like the Lakers for me, are an 8 seed that squeezes in just through the playing tournament. They're also coming off of a great win the other night against the Raptors. My 2-7 matchup is Bucks versus Raptors. It'll be a very fun matchup. My 3-6 is Philadelphia, Miami, and my 4-5 is Boston versus Atlanta. I have the Celtics winning that series and going on to play Philadelphia in the second round of the playoffs. I think this is the year where Philly can change that narrative. I'm not feeling as good about it now, 3 games into the season, but a week and a half ago, that was easily the pick that I believed in. So I had the 76ers going to the conference finals, and they're going to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers after they beat the Milwaukee Bucks. I know this got very crazy, but when I have Philadelphia playing the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals, I have the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. bringing the hardware to the Mile High. A lot of hot takes in there. So if you guys have any questions, be sure to let me know, because I have the Cavaliers beating the Bucks in the second round and the 76ers beating the Celtics, and the last couple of years would defy that logic.
I still can't roll with Cleveland being number one. I still think it's too soon. The team is young to jump up all the way to the 1 seed and knock off of Milwaukee Bucks. I don't think they're as seasoned for that yet. I think it takes time. I'm not going to knock that pick because I do believe maybe next year and the years to come that Cleveland may be the face of the Eastern Conference. It's more than possible. And it's crazy to say that without LeBron there. But I just think that right now is too soon. I think Boston is too good. I think Milwaukee is too good. Philadelphia, going into the season, I was high on them. You have them going to the finals. They're too good. I think there's no better team than the Brooklyn Nets if all 3 of them are on. So I don't think Cleveland is ready yet. I have them as a playoff team, but I can't see them being the 1 seed.
I have a good rebuttal.
Then take away, John. Go ahead.
Go for it.
When healthy last year, the Cavaliers were a bona fide top 4 seed, and they were convincingly in that mix. And it wasn't until their entire lineup was in and out that they fell to the play-in tournament. Now, you add in Donovan Mitchell. And last night, without Darius Garland, against a team in the Bulls that got Zach LaVine back, no Lonzo Ball, of course, but Vooch, Zach, and DeMar, they killed the Chicago Bulls by 30 points. And what I said to myself is, last year, with no Darius Garland, with no Darius Garland, and of course Donovan Mitchell being in Utah, they get blown out in that game. It's the complete opposite effect. And you're just adding in a new star to this core. And I think all these players fit very well together. And Evan Mobley is the one player that can take this team to that highest level. He's only in year 2, but he's the type of talent at 21 years old to be NBA ready, to be polished for the postseason. And I think defensively, the duo of him and Jared Allen is the best in the Eastern Conference. When you have that level of rim protection and the perimeter creation, a lot of shot making and playmaking as well. Like, you got Ricky Rubio coming back from a torn ACL. So you have him, Karis LeVert, and Kevin Love all off of the bench. In the regular season, that is a lot. That goes a very long way. And the other X factor here is Isaac Okoro, who offensively kind of has been offensively challenged. But when it comes to what he does as an athlete, what he does as a defender, he's a very good third-year guard or wing.
Nothing is selling me.
This is a much better team than last year, my friend.
They are a much better team, but like I said, I still don't see the youth being able to overcome the powers of the East.
What's the difference between Darius Garland and Trae Young?
I think Garland's a better player.
You think Darius Garland's better than Trey?
I think he's going to have a better ceiling. I see him going further, at least in a playoff standpoint. Yeah, I don't think Trey Young can lead his team back to an Eastern Conference Finals like he did not too long ago. I don't think that's happening. I think Cleveland is in a way better position to win. But still, my I stand on my point. When I look at the top dogs in the East, I don't see Cleveland. Do you, Brandon?
Let's get into it, right? So let's talk about the East right now, since we're on the topic, right? So my rankings go as followed. I'll go 8-1. My eighth seed, I looked at it and I said, I'm putting Chicago as my eighth seed. And I think it's because Zach LaVine is just coming back from an injury. Lonzo is probably not going to play this whole season. So I think they're going to take a step back while some teams take a step forward. My seventh seed is Atlanta. The duo of Trae Young and DeJounte Murray is going to be a dynamic one from what we've seen so far. Early, I know it's really early, but from what we've seen so far, it looks like they actually can mesh well. Then I got the Brooklyn Nets as the sixth seed. Now I could easily see my six and was that the fifth seed? Yeah, my sixth and fifth seed flipping. I could see that because my fifth seed is Cleveland. That's where I have Cleveland ranked. I agree with Justin's points. I think John is kind of jumping the boat a little bit, which is fine. You know, it's get excited about it. You know, they got the new moves. He's really excited. He's really high on Evan Mobley and Garland. Not so high on Donovan Mitchell, but now that he's on a team that he likes the players around, he's, you know, talking a little bit more positively about Donovan Mitchell than he was a couple months ago when I was talking highly of Donovan Mitchell. But that's neither here nor there. Brooklyn, I have that low because I just think we're seeing the same woes. Steve Nash is not a good head coach. I'm sorry. Great NBA player, Hall of Fame player, not a good head coach, especially with these type of personalities that he's got to manage. Just not the guy. I'm sorry. And there's no leadership on that team. There's no accountability, blah, blah, blah. You know, what the same old song and dance, as Justin says. Then I flip-flopped while you guys were talking. I was looking at my list, and I flipped my 3 and 4 seed. I'm putting Miami as my number 3 seed, and I'm putting Philly as number 4. I think Philly, me and John talked about it a little bit yesterday. From what I've seen of Philly, same thing as last year. They're really no different. It's my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn. Harden, Embiid, Harden, Embiid. No off-ball movement, no real ball movement. When Harden's got the ball in his hand, nobody's really moving. They're all just standing around waiting, you know, for a pass or whatever. It's the same old, same old. With Miami, at least Tyler Hero has looked good through his first 3 games, a little bit better in his new starting role. Bam's mid-range game was consider a little bit better than it was last year. I've been waiting for him to take the steps necessary to really take his game to the next level, and that's really building on that mid-range shot and knocking it down at a consistent rate. I don't need him shooting 3-pointers. That's not what we need him, but knocking a mid-range shot down, I like that. I still think Miami has got to kind of make a move if they don't want to be left behind. Then at number 2, my 1 and 2, I could see also flipping. I'm just putting them at number 2 right now because of the new head coach, you know, that stuff. But they've looked really well without their head, Ime Udoka as their head coach. I got the Boston Celtics as the number 2 seed. Now I could easily see him switch with my number 1 seed, which is obviously the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton coming back hopefully in a couple months or a month or so. Drew Holiday is there. I still also think Milwaukee might want to. I don't know if they're going to make a move this season, but I think how they see this season playing out, I think they're going to realize in the offseason next year that they're going to have to make a move and get Giannis a, you know, legitimate Robin to really take that, stay in the race as well as I feel with Miami. So that's how I see the East playing out right now. Yeah, if you guys have any reactions to that, or I can get, we can talk about the West, or you want to keep going with the East.
Yes, you touched on the Bucks. I think
Yeah.
we've been a little bit negative on Drew Holiday because we saw, particularly in their season open, without Chris Middleton, you can't ask Drew Holiday to be the number two scorer. Defensively, his load is guarding the opponent's best player for 36 minutes a night. And there's no guard in the NBA that can do that and give you 20 and 7 on good shooting, night in and night out. Sometimes Drew can, and Drew's a really good number three, probably the best one in this conference. Like, you compare him to a Marcus Smart, Tyler Hero, it's not close. I'm taking him any day of the week. But as number two here, there's just too much responsibility. And when looking at this Bucks roster, it's the oldest in the NBA. Brook Lopez, Serge Ibaka off the bench. It's thin in depth. And there's some good guards. Javon Carter, Pat Connaughton's working his way back from injury. And even Marshawn Beauchamp, Sandro Mamukelashvili. Younger players that can play some rotation minutes in the playoffs with this Bucks team. And this is why I don't have them as number one seed, Brandon. They need a healthy Chris Middleton. He has a player option after this season. He has a lot to prove. As a Robin, let me reword this. He has proven it at the highest levels, but he needs to stay healthy. If he's not, this Bucks team is not a top of the line contender. It's a low end contender, and that's just because of how brilliant Giannis is. But he needs more support when it comes to perimeter shot making and a pick and roll ball handler, because they just don't have that without Chris in this lineup. So for me, I had the Bucks a little bit lower in my Eastern Conference. I got them as the number two seed, but I really think it's going to be a tie, much like last year, with them, Philadelphia, and the Celtics. I think those three teams are going to be separated by like 2 or 3 wins. And honestly, the number one seed in each of these two conferences, it's going to be like a 55-win team. There's not going to be a Phoenix or a Utah from the last 2
No.
years. I'm expecting it to be very close at the top and really an arms race for whoever wants home court advantage.
Yeah. Like I said, I could see the Celtics easily being the one seed. I don't see Philadelphia being the number one seed. I don't know how you see that, especially how they've looked early. Yeah. Oh no, you don't have Philly number one. You have Cleveland number one. Sorry, you have Philly going to the finals. No, yeah, I don't see Cleveland as a number one seed. I should say.
Disrespect.
It's not disrespect, my guy. You were hating on Donovan Mitchell, saying this guy's a bubble guy. He doesn't get it done in the playoffs outside
Let's
of
talk
that
about the
bubble
bubble.
year. No, but even outside of the bubble, you say he doesn't get it done. You said Rudy Gobert was the more important piece in this Utah Jazz what era you would call it. Come on, you can't just flip the narrative like that. And like Darius Garland, good player, all-star caliber player, probably at his peak, but I don't really see him much more than that. Evan Mobley, I got to 1 year. Let's see more nationally televised games. I didn't see much last year. Let's see if he, can really catch my eye.
Look,
He's got to take it a step forward. In order for Cleveland to be number one, John, right? Evan Mobley has to either Evan Mobley or Darius Garland has to take their next level and just elevate that. Like they have to take it to the next level. They have to go and be the Robin to Donovan Mitchell's Batman. And I honestly want to say this right now. As much as I love Donovan Mitchell and wanted him on Miami, he is not a number one on a championship team. He's not. I'm sorry.
I agree. Now let me say this. In jest for listeners out there, I said Donovan Mitchell's a bubble boy off the air as like, a poking little joke. The NBA bubble, let's say it how it is, was the perfect version of basketball. No distractions, no off-court activities, strictly hoops. We saw the best version of many star players, not because the Nets were too soft, though they could have played a role. I just think we got to see NBA basketball in its purest form. And in that arena, Donovan Mitchell was a playoff superstar. BCap, I get what you're saying. He's more suited to be the number two, the Robin. But in the postseason, he is top 6 all time, maybe even higher if memory serves, in points per game. This guy is a bucket. And when you look at this Cavaliers roster, very few teams have 4 All-Stars. It's not normal. And it reminds me of those Pistons teams, the rare outlier to not having a go-to top 5 players or championship guy that made it to the conference finals in 5 straight seasons, won NBA championship, and got to the finals on 2 separate occasions. This Cavaliers team is well coached. Offensively, they have versatility, and defensively, they have the most necessary thing, and that is top of the line rim protection and a fair amount of versatility. That's what made the Jazz #1 seed Rudy Gobert. I mean, if you think Utah or if you think Cleveland can't do what Utah did, I think you're out of your mind because this is a better roster. It simply has more star talent, more versatility, and a coach in JB Bickerstaff who I think is pretty darn underrated.
No, you know what? I agree with you. I do think that the Cleveland team is better than the Utah Jazz team. I just I don't see it, man. Like I think Boston is so much better. They've been tested. They've been through the ringer. Even with Milwaukee without Chris Middleton, we saw what Giannis can do by himself last year in the playoffs. We saw that. We know Giannis is that damn good. We know this about him. Miami's always going to be in there. They're somebody that they're a team that you really don't want to see. They really are. They play that style that I talk about a lot in football, where it's in basketball terms now, where it's just they play hard defense, they switch, they can knock down shots, they're going to get physical with you. They're not going to beat themselves. You're going to have to beat them. They're a team that you really don't want to see. And then, your Philadelphia team that I'm not very high on, but Philly can beat a Cleveland. I could see that Embiid or Harden going off. And Brooklyn, I could see competing with Cleveland too if they get everything right. But yeah, that's where I see Cleveland. I see Cleveland more in that Philly, Brooklyn.
Toronto.
No, I don't have Toronto in the playoffs.
Why?
Because I just don't see it, John. Like, they're a bunch of young guys. They're a solid team, but I don't see it. I named you the 8 teams that I think that are better than them. I think they could probably get a play-in, but congratulations, you got a play-in. What do you want, a cookie or something?
That is so disrespectful.
It's not disrespectful, dude. They don't have their best player is Pascal Siakam.
And they won 48 games last year with Pascal
That's fine.
Siakam.
The East is better this year, though.
And so are
East
they.
is better this year.
They
You
are
got
much better
Cleveland, and you got Brooklyn reformed, and you have Atlanta with DeJounte Murray now. East is better this year.
The crazy thing? So I look at the Eastern Conference, and I look at the teams that at least I have put in. I do have Toronto in there. That's the only team that I think teams will be trying to set themselves up to play against them.
Oh yeah,
Well,
because they know they can beat them.
This is a top 12 team in the Raptors. They're a very good, very safe playing.
Top 12 team of what?
Team. Top 12 team in the game and a top 6 team in the East. They're not a playing team. They're above that level. Brandon,
But are you telling this is a championship contender?
No, they're a level below that. They're a safe playoff team.
No, they're a level below
go to the second round.
They're a level below that.
Brandon,
No,
I
they're
think
not. Do they have no? But this is it, John. This is a star-driven league. They have no star.
Yes, they do. They have 2 stars.
Who are their stars?
Siakam lost his 2021 offseason and went on. He had shoulder surgery, very serious, had no time to work, came back 3 weeks into the season and was an All-NBA player. Fred VanVleet last year was an All-Star, then had a knee injury ruin his season. When you look at the starting lineup, it's one of the best in basketball with an elite head coach and a much better bench.
Yes. Stop. I differ. These are my levels. This is how I look at it. My levels. Superstar. He's about to sneeze. God bless you. Superstar, star, all-star. All right. That's how I see it. Pascal Siakam is an all-star caliber player. Fred VanVleet, I don't think he's an all-star caliber player when you really compare him to all the other guards in the NBA. I got to be honest. When you compare him to his contemporaries, he doesn't stack up against those other guys. His field goal percentage is really low. I think it hovers around 39-40% from the field, which is not good at all. He's a liability on defense. He can make shots. He's not afraid to take a shot. He can make clutch shots.
Sorry, did you just call Fred VanVleet a liability on defense?
Yeah, he's a small guy.
But he was borderline all defense last year. I know he's 6 foot, but he's an elite guard defender.
Okay, but he's going to get taken advantage of by the big guys.
You saw what he did on Steph Curry in the 2019 finals.
I said big guys.
But still, you look at this lineup, he's the only one that is not 6'5" or over. So don't call him a liability.
Okay, fine. I will. But I will say he's a liability. If when you get in the playoffs and you've got guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown who are much bigger than him, and they're going to be, doing the switch and whatever BS with the pick and roll, and they're going to target Fred VanVleet. That's what they're not going to go after Pascal. They're not going to go after Scotty Barnes. They're not going to go after the other bigger guys. They're going to go after the small guy.
Who was the guide for Kyle?
Huh?
Who was the guide for Fred VanVleet entering the NBA? Teaching him the veteran tricks he now has.
Kyle Lowry.
Look at him. Look at the way he can defend at 6 foot. He can switch into bigger players.
I think Kyle Lowry's got a little bit of a thicker load to him, but I see where you're coming from. Yeah, for me, no, I just don't see it in Toronto. I'm sorry.
Did you see it last year at Toronto?
In terms of what, like in terms of,
did you see it last year? Was this your takeaway with them?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it.
And they won almost 50 games.
Okay, but again, in the East, that wasn't as good as it is this year. The East is better. Do you not agree with that?
I don't think you realize the issue with this Raptors team last year was Nick Nurse was running his players into the ground, and they were dealing with injuries while playing. In the postseason, if Scotty Barnes doesn't get injured early on in that Toronto series, Thaddeus Young is really one of their only two capable
injuries
bench
are a
players.
part of the game, John.
But that was because of their lack of depth. And this offseason, they added a handful of good bench players. And Otto Porter Jr. from the Warriors played a key role in that championship.
Okay, but John, it doesn't come down to those guys when you don't have the stars to match up with the other teams in the East.
But here's my issue. The regular season is not just about star power. That's one
I don't care. I'm not talking about the regular season, though. I'm talking about the postseason because we're picking playoff teams right now. I'm talking about the postseason.
But you had the Raptors missing the playoffs. You said they were a playing team and nothing more.
That's where I see them. I mean, okay, listen. Can I see the Raptors taking Chicago's spot in the 8th seed? Yes, I will give you that. I could see them taking that spot. But I don't think they're going to take off Atlanta, Brooklyn, Cleveland, Miami, Philly, Boston, or Milwaukee. None of those teams, I don't think they're taking those spots. I'm sorry.
I think Toronto's ceiling for me is at the 7th seed.
Okay. I just don't feel like you guys see the vision in Toronto, what they're building. You're laughing.
What are they building? Because is Scotty Barnes going to be a superstar?
He's going to be a star. He's one of the top 4 players from his draft class. Now, I'm not the highest.
If he's a star, right, then that probably means he's going to be more of a Robin. And he's going to be a Donovan Mitchell where he needs another guy to be better than him to take to the promised land.
You guys don't see the vision because when you talk about the best organizations in basketball, like your Miami Heat, the Raptors develop and evaluate talent, finding it better than anybody. And when you look at this group, they're very well coached, and most of all, their blueprint for building is around the future of the NBA. 6'8", versatile wing players, kind of a egalitarian approach where no player has a weakness. Defensively, they have so much length and size to challenge teams. Offensively, they have playmaking. They're going to beat you in the possession battle. They're going to get offensive rebounds, run in transition. They have shooting. They have firepower, and they have stars right now.
What were the Toronto Raptors before they got Kawhi Leonard?
A playoff shoe-in, top 3 seed perennially. Always
getting beat by
LeBron James, the greatest player of all time.
Because he could not the greatest, second greatest. Getting beat then. Then before that, it was Chris Bosh. He did his thing. I have high respect for Chris Bosh, but they were never more than first round exit, maybe second round team. Yeah, they made the playoffs a couple times. Then before that, it was the Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady for a little bit before he got traded era. What were they? I think they never won their division. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I love Nick Nurse. I think he's a top head coach. I think he's an elite head coach. But it's a star-driven league. I will say that again. It's a star-driven league, John. And I think you're missing that point. Me and Justin see the talent. We see the good players. We see the elite head coach. But what was the reason that they won the championship in 2019? Because a superstar came knocking. They got gifted. He didn't come knocking.
They knocked on his door.
Okay, yes. But it was a forced trade because Kawhi wanted out of San Antonio, and Toronto was really the only place that they were going to send him, and whatever. He went there, he did his 1 year, and then he left. They're not getting that again. No superstar is coming to Toronto. I'm sorry. They're not. Drake can try all he wants to convince somebody, but it's not happening. They have to draft a superstar. I don't think they have drafted that superstar.
Can they develop that high-level star talent?
Right. They can develop that. But I think, John,
Superstar,
I
man.
think you're looking at me and Brandon saying we're being disrespectful. We're not disrespecting the Raptors. We know that they have solid pieces, but like he said, we're
Good.
talking about playoff teams. And I don't believe that they're going to get out of the first round. I don't think that they are.
Yeah, there's no way.
But the same way I said with Cleveland, I don't feel like they match up to the powers in the East. Yes, they play complementary, very good basketball. I mean, you could look at the Hawks that were the 1 seed a couple of years ago. Did anybody actually take them seriously? No. So the Raptors, I kind of look at them the same way where, yeah, I see the talent. There's a lot more talent on the Raptors team than there was on that Hawks team. But there's a lot more talent in Boston. There's a lot more talent in Brooklyn. And when those pieces all come together, even on their best night, I don't think they're better than Boston if they're bringing 80% of what they have.
And I'll say this, right? If Toronto had, let's say, a Jimmy Butler, pluck Jimmy Butler from the Heat, just put him on Toronto. Don't take anything from Toronto, just put him in Toronto. Now we're talking. Because now you have a guy. Now you have a superstar talent. They don't have that guy, John. That's what I'm trying to say, and I think Justin is also trying to say. Don't the fingers down, because you're not getting it. You understand basketball at a high level, okay? It's your life. You literally live and breathe it, and you poop it, okay? You understand that it's a star-driven league. You can sit here and live in fairy tale land and play your Candyland board games and whatever, but I'm living in reality. Come with me, okay? There's no superstar on the team. And when you look at the other teams in the East, their star talent does not match up with those star talents. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
They're much better than Chicago.
Onto the next. I think they are much better than Chicago also. I have Chicago missing the playoffs. But Brandon, touch on your Western Conference teams.
All right, so you want to go West? Let's go. So John's going to be a little disappointed in this one, right? Because
I think you've already disappointed John enough.
No, this one's really going to get him going. This one's really going to get him going.
We're about to cancel this damn show.
Especially where he had his. Let's just. How do I want to phrase this? John's number 1 seed is my number 8 seed. The Timberwolves are my number 8 seed. Oh. Lord have mercy, give this man Jesus. No, I have them number 8. I have them the A seed. And it comes down to the fact that, listen, Rudy Gobert is I'll give him a great defender, right? I mean, he wasn't a great defender when he got posterized by Lauri Markkanen, but I guess we're not going to bring that up. Lauri Markkanen.
But then a couple possessions later.
Hold on. The athletic freak that is Lauri Markkanen. Yeah. Oh, my God.
See that stuff he had a couple possessions later?
Yeah, sure. I don't care. That is literally Markkanen's highlight career play, okay? But I just D'Lo is inconsistent. I believe in Anthony Edwards. I picked him to be the most improved player of the year for my pick. I think Rudy Gobert is still an offensive liability while he is great on defense. And Karl Anthony Towns, he's got to get healthy. I'm praying for him. But again, I think even taking that stuff out right before the sickness or injuries, whatever he is dealing with right now, the questions were about Karl Anthony Towns was, can he be the number 1 guy? And I think a lot of people agree that he can't be the number 1 guy and that they're hoping Anthony Edwards takes that step to be the number 1 guy. Because I think Cat can be a great number 2 to Anthony Edwards, number 1. I don't think Ant is going to be able to take that level to that level this year. Maybe next year or the year after, we will really see Ant take that step. Because we also got to get, how old is Ant, John, off the top here? 21? 21. Yeah. So again, I'm probably pushing too far. And I know people might say, oh, you're crazy. 27. He's not. That's usually when players really hit their peak is 26, 27. Like really even because the mind also has to develop with the physical peak. And once those things are matched at an equal spot, you're in your peak and you got to take advantage of that. Because then it just starts going like this is how I would explain it, right? Your mental peak is down here and your physical peak is really up here when you're younger. And then slowly by surely this grows and this comes down a little bit until they're at their absolute, they're basically even. Then when you get older, that physical peak starts going, but your mental peak starts getting up and up and up, right? So you got to take advantage of that when you can. So I have them number 8. I know my number 17 is going to get a lot of flack, but you know what? I have to put my faith in him because, as John just said, in his eyes and in Justin's eyes, he's the greatest basketball player to ever play this game. In my eyes, he's number 2. So, and he's still playing at an elite level. I think we all can agree with that. Even in year 20, he's playing great. LeBron James and the LA Lakers. I'm disappointed, obviously. I mean, Russell Westbrook, he's got to go. He's got to go. It's not working. It will never work. It's bad for the team. He doesn't want to be there. They don't want him there. It's bad for the chemistry of the team. It's bad for everything. He's got to go. Anthony Davis, my guy, we got to, let's go. I mean, you're already getting a sore back, getting helped up off the. It's just, I feel like it's the same old with Anthony Davis. You know what I mean? Like you were supposed to take over the reins for LeBron. That's why they got you. You were supposed to be the number 1 when LeBron was starting to decline. You haven't taken that step. You haven't. We're still looking for bubble Anthony Davis. I know John's still looking for him.
Well, we're not going to see him again.
Where'd that mid-range game go? Where'd the 3-point shot go?
Not back to LA.
It's gone.
Some guys aren't physically capable of taking on that load. Like LeBron James, for as much as someone may put into the detail to their work, I don't think it's really realistic for many players, whether it's a mindset thing or a physical wear and tear sort of style. And with Anthony Davis, he was never going to be that guy. We saw in New Orleans, he wasn't that guy. And post LeBron, it wasn't going to change.
I agree. I didn't really like the move for the Lakers when they made that move because Anthony Davis didn't prove himself in New Orleans even when he was healthy. They weren't really. I mean, they playoff team, but they're getting bounced.
To be fair to myself, we're being very disrespectful. Anthony Davis in New Orleans was a top 7 player in the NBA.
Yes,
but he had terrible luck.
Yeah, but he also is. It was considered to be, again, top 7 player, right? A top 5 talent. A lot of people say when he was at his healthiest, a top 5 talent, they were calling him. If you're that guy, and if you're that guy, you got to elevate your team and you got to be able to, take it to the promised land. And well, not the finals, but at least get out of the first round or something, or win a couple games, make it interesting. He hasn't been able to do that. And,
he did in 2019.
He did, well, all right, but not consistent enough. It's just it's not consistent.
He's not the same player. That's really it.
He's not, and I feel bad for LeBron because this Lakers. I have a feeling that we're gonna look back at this Lakers tenure and be like, it was, even though he got the championship, I think we're gonna look at it and say it was a failure. Because what are you gonna do? And it's the same question. It's the same answer I have when people say, "Is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer?" Yeah, you point to the 2 championships, and we've had this debate before, and I won that debate because you guys just don't understand it. Great 2 championships, great runs, right? What did he do for those 14 other seasons?
I think those 2
like they say, F all. He did F all.
I have a entirely different perspective on Anthony Davis. He's been really good this year. He's looked a lot better than I expected. Defensively, around the rim, he's been way more active. The issue I have with AD is every other game it's an injury scare. Sometimes it's going to be serious, other times he's right back in.
Yeah.
But on the floor, Darvin Ham is trying to recreate AD's image. They're going to run everything through him offensively, which realistically is not viable for a full regular season, but they're trying to build that same style in Milwaukee where they get out in transition, dominate the glass, and really just win the possession battle. We're seeing today, teams may not have the best half-court offense, but oftentimes you don't need that. If you can create turnovers, you're getting the second chance ops, and defensively, if Anthony Davis can get anything back to that 2020 level, the guy that was a top 3 for Depoy, this Lakers defense will be top 10. And so far this year, he's looked closer to that version of himself. Not quite there. Athletically, I think he still needs to work his body more into shape, but he looks like a much better player.
You know what my major concern? I just want to say one thing, Justin, I'll let you go. My major concern, obviously the injuries goes without saying, right? But in his prime, John, what was he in New Orleans? In his prime, he was a what, 12, 13 rebound a game averager, right?
Yes, 28, 12, and 2 blocks. That's pretty
Okay,
ridiculous.
but now he's averaging only 7 rebounds. I mean, what has he been in the Lakers? I don't know if he's gotten over 10 rebounds as a Laker. Maybe 1 year, I think. But where's that dominating rebounding?
Well, to be
Go ahead,
fair,
Justin.
he was playing next to a big man in those seasons.
Yeah, but still, you're Anthony freaking Davis. You also still gotta get yours too. Like but go ahead, Justin.
I don't want to say that we've seen the last of, that MVP caliber Anthony Davis, but with load management, maybe we can see him in spurts, and hopefully come playoff time, you can get the real deal, because I think all of these teams that we have in the playoffs, a lot of them are looking at it like, okay, we just need to survive the regular season so we could just put the pedal to the metal come postseason. So I think with Anthony Davis, your only hope is that they manage him well enough and he finds his stride at the perfect time, because there's no consistency there. And like John said, the injury concern is legit, because when he's on the floor, that's somebody you got to account for. That's somebody you're worried about. You have to game plan around it. But is he going to be on the court?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question. 82 games. How many does he play?
So to continue my Western Conference, number 7, I got the Lakers. Number 6, I got the Dallas Mavericks. And number 5 and 4, I could see swapping. I have the Pelicans as my number 5 seed, and then the Phoenix Suns as my number 4 seed. I could see them swapping there, because the Pelicans have looked very good this early. Then I have the Denver Nuggets as my number 3 seed. I'm a big believer in Jokic in that big three. Now, Michael Porter Jr. is a key factor. He's got to stay healthy so that they can really fulfill that potential. My number 2 seed, the team I'm probably the highest on, is the LA Clippers. I'm a Kawhi guy through and through. I'll die on that hill. Kawhi Leonard is one of the best players in the NBA, and I don't care what anybody's got to say. And I'll wait till we get to my finals prediction. But then my number 1 seed is the Golden State Warriors, the reigning defending finals champions. They're the proven team right now, so I'm going to give it to them as the number 1 seed.
I think Steph and Kawhi missed too many games to be the top 2 seeds. Like Kawhi's going to miss 20 games this year, load management. Paul George probably 15. But the Clippers, we saw in that open versus the Lakers, had the depth to beat most teams with Norman Powell, John Wall, who athletically still has a lot of that burst after the year off. Reggie Jackson. Jackson's a very underrated bucket getter. He's got size and athleticism to him. And Amir Coffey. Do you know what the Lakers would do for an Amir Coffey? A lefty marksman that can do it off the dribble, passes relatively well, and has size. Going back to the Lakers, I want to trace over to them real quick. A lot of people are freaking out right now, but the Lakers look really good. They've shot 22% from 3, and that's not going to sustain itself. It's going to go up from there. Now, how much up is the real question, because you said the Lakers have to get off of Russell Westbrook no matter what. The fact of the matter is, you can't get off of Russell Westbrook. $47 million expiring contract. You wait until this offseason. You don't splurge to get guys that are going to be on your books next year. You want to value that opportunity, a max contract slot the next year. Because the fact of the matter is, Darvin Ham is doing a phenomenal job so far with Russ. Russ had those the comments about, oh, wait, I came off the bench. That led to my injury, which was ridiculous. But it's terrible leadership. But on the court, he's been competing defensively. He's been limiting the bad mistakes, the turnovers, the poor shot selection, and he's playing his tail off. They're looking for him to be a better defender, because in Oklahoma City, earlier on in his career, he was that. On this team, he's the most... The compensation for what we're asking from Russell Westbrook is ridiculous. He's probably a $10 million player. The issue with the Lakers is, yes, they're paying him all this money, but really it's just the floor spacing. They don't have much of it. Matt Ryan, who was on waivers 3 weeks ago, is now one of their go-to guys off the bench. And this team has little depth, but Lonnie Walker so far has looked really good. Another guy that can't really shoot it, but in terms of playmaking, he's a very good pick-and-roll operator, an impressive one at that, and a very good finisher. His athleticism in transition, that's exactly what they want to do. And I think Lonnie Walker plus Kendrick Nunn makes a huge difference.
John, Lonnie Walker should not be taking more shots than Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
Lonnie Walker was great the other night.
I understand. Well,
he defensively.
Okay. I mean, listen, he was left open a lot. There's a reason he's being left open. We all know why, right? Because he can't shoot.
Awesome, yeah, awesome slasher though.
Yeah,
Very
I,
good.
I agree. He is athletically. That's why they call him, what do they call him? Skywalker, right? Um, I like that, but again, it's just that he can't shoot. I like Kendrick Dunn. He was in Miami Heat. He's coming off an injury. That guard room is really
Catch.
it's a lot of people in there, and Dennis Schroeder's not even healthy. A lot of people, a lot of
Don't
minutes to
bring
be
Dennis
fighting
Schroeder
for.
into this.
Yeah.
Schroeder just
Um,
makes the Lakers also lack tempo, and that is something Dennis Schroeder kills. So if the Lakers could do me a favor and not play Dennis Schroeder when he comes back, that would be awesome. The
so I
other player
think
that's injured is
uh,
Thomas Bryant. He's a big man that can shoot the ball. That matters because when Anthony Davis wants to center next to him, having a guy that's going to space the floor and has made 40% of his triples, though open from deep, is a huge benefit to this offense that has
yeah,
literally no spacing at the current moment.
yeah. Um, I I think so. We are we on the same boat as, I guess, because this is where I see it from, right? The trade is on the table for Russell Westbrook. The reports are, Woj has already said the Indiana Pacers will agree to a trade to give away Miles Turner and Buddy Hield for Westbrook and the 2 first-round picks. That's what he's reported. He said that even like last week. He said it. The offer's on the table if the Lakers want it. The Lakers don't want to give up their 2 first-round picks. Where I come from is, if you're the Lakers and you believe, if you're Jeannie Buss and you believe that if you get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner and you are instantly a championship contender this year, you make the trade. You go right, you splash, you make the trade. If you do not believe that those 2 players make you a championship contender right now, you can't make the trade. You got to ride it out with Westbrook. If it gets really bad towards midseason, maybe, and this is a big maybe, you start talking about kicking around the idea of buying him out and just sending him home. That's like, that's break glass, like, last resort. But yeah, get off his books at the end of the year. John said they're gonna have a max contract available. Maybe Kyrie wants to leave Brooklyn. Will maybe next year.
They can be a contender with Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, but Turner's another center that can't stay healthy. He couldn't even get a warm-ups without getting hurt. He fell on a ball boy and injured his ankle, and he's out a week now. Turner's an injury-prone player that, quite frankly, I think Buddy Hield adds a lot of value. Why not just wait one off season and give yourself a chance to get a Kyrie, or better yet, Chris Middleton maybe opts out his player option. There's so many guys, so much potential. James Harden's got a player option, even Harrison Barnes, Jeremy Grant. Boyan Bogdanovic. There's a lot of wing players that I think add an additive skill set that fits perfectly. It's not a confusing fit, and they have two-way upside.
Justin, let's hear your Western rankings.
Western rankings. Oh, first off, I didn't hear your finals prediction.
Oh, you want me to just give them? Okay.
Yeah, John gave his.
Let me end this and my talking point off. So I got the Los Angeles Clippers making it to the finals. I think Golden State and Clippers are probably going to meet in the conference finals, and I think the Clippers are going to beat them in 7. And then I got the Boston Celtics coming out of the East. Probably seeing either a Miami or Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I got the Clippers taking it in maybe 6 or 7 games because just a big Kawhi guy here. And I think that he comes back. I think the team is absolutely stacked. I mean, John didn't even mention Luke Kennard coming off the bench. He's a marksman, sharpshooter. Marcus Morris Sr., still a dog, 3-and-D player. Zubac is a big body, rebounder, rim protector. I'm probably still forgetting people. Oh, Norman Powell, big pickup. I mean, that's a big pickup. Robert Covington, 3-and-D player too. They're just full of 3-and-D guys. And that is how you win in this league. 3-and-D. You shoot the 3 well and you play defense well. And they got some of the best guys on. Their 2 best players are what?
2 years ago, this was one of the greatest three-point shooting teams of all time.
Yeah. And you got Paul George and Kawhi. Paul George is, as a lot of people say, and I think I agree, the perfect Robin. He is literally custom made for the Robin spot. Not insane amount of pressure to be the guy, be the leader. but you can just take a step back and be like, listen, I'm just here to hoop. I'm just here to ball. I play defense. I make shots. I play make. And then Kawhi Leonard, silent man, board man, gets paid, makes mid-range shots, makes fadeaways, hits threes, dunking on people, posterizes. Come on, defensive. Kawhi Leonard's taking it. He's going to be a 3-time Finals MVP. The Clippers are going to win their first ever NBA championship because of Kawhi Leonard, and Kawhi Leonard will surpass Kevin Durant on the all-time small forward list and be the third greatest small forward of all time after this year. And on top of that, Kawhi Leonard will be universally crowned, as it should have been a couple of years ago, as the best player in the NBA. The Claw.
You have to actually play enough regular season.
Yeah,
series to have
it's
that
it's
title.
nice to dream.
No, he doesn't.
That was
No, he
nice.
doesn't. No, he
Big
doesn't.
Cap, it's
No, he
time to
doesn't.
take off
If he
the
shows
rose-
up, no,
Time
time
to
out.
take
If
off
he-
the rose-colored glasses.
No. I'm seeing clearly. I'm seeing crystal clearly right now. You need to take your glasses off, all right? I'm seeing crystal clear. I
Back
got
up
my
a little
eyes checked.
bit. Why don't you in the camera
Time out.
shot?
All right.
Thank
Look at
you.
me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. If he shows up in the freaking playoffs again, like he's done multiple times before, and he balls out like he did what he did in Toronto, stop it. Stop it. He would be the best player in the NBA.
Sorry.
3 championships, 3 finals MVPs. Him and LeBron would, I believe, be the only 2 players to ever have 3 finals MVPs on 3 different teams.
That's nice.
So
Come on. That's not nice. Sorry. That's
time-
legendary stuff right there.
it's time to be honest. The Clippers have an embarrassment of riches. There's a lot to sort out here between John Wall and Reggie Jackson. John Wall may be taking too many shots. All of these wing players missing time. You have to find the right lineups. And for Tyronn Lue, you
What
can
the
say,
regular season is for.
sure, but it's hard when you have very little continuity. Kawhi is going to play 50 regular season games. They
That's
have
fine.
on paper the
Fine.
best team in the NBA, but their 2 best players have not been durable. Their bench is filled with a lot of guys who are very talented,
Healthy.
but much like we saw at the Boston Celtics in 2019, that team collapsed in the postseason and Kyrie Irving left. You can have too many chefs in the kitchen, too many shot creators. There's a lot of wing players here, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of scores that need the rock, and I'm not quite sure if they're going to be able to sort all of that out. And against the Warriors, a team that has been able to wave off, the toughest of challenges, I think the Warriors have a little bit more stamina at the highest level.
I'm with you, John. But my concern with the Clippers would just be more health than anything. Health is wealth in the NBA, and if you don't have that in the playoff time, then what are you? How far can you actually go? If PG's not on the floor, is the Claw leading him to the NBA Finals? No, you need PG. You need him, especially in that Western Conference. So should I start with the East or should I start with the West?
Go with the East. I know you're a big Knick fan.
Okay. So I want Brandon to be here for this one, but there we go.
All right.
Who do you guys
Listen.
think I have in the eighth?
Listen. Go ahead. Kawhi Leonard, Finals MVP.
Who do you think I have in the Eastern Conference coming in eighth?
The Knicks.
No, I don't. I don't even have them making the playoffs. I was just gonna mess with you guys. But yeah, listen, part of me, ask me this question again in a month when I get to see what my team is starting to look like. But I am happy with what I'm seeing on the floor so far.
Cam Reddish.
Cam Reddish looked good in one game, but that's it. So we'll see. But for the eighth seed, I got the Atlanta Hawks. I like Atlanta. I don't think their ceiling is extremely high, but we'll see what they're working with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. Hopefully John Collins turns into the star that they've been waiting for him to develop into for so long. But I don't know. They seem to have this weird relationship with him where one day they want him out, the other day they want him in. I don't know. The 7th seed, I got the Toronto Raptors. We just went on this long story about them. I see them as the team that everybody is positioning themselves up for to sweep them. I'll give them maybe one game against my 2 seed. You'll see who's my 2 seed. At the 6th spot, I'm sorry, Brandon, I got your Miami Heat. Not a fantastic offseason. They didn't dazzle the world. I don't think they got much better. In fact, they probably got worse. So I got Miami finishing 6th. In the number 5 spot, I know you have them number 1, John. I have Cleveland coming in 5. I still believe they are very good, but they don't match up to the powers that be above them. Number 4, I don't think there's a better team when they're all on. I don't think there's a better team than the Brooklyn Nets, but I don't think they'll always be on at the same time. So I got Brooklyn coming in 4 because I do think Kyrie, KD, and Ben Simmons will do just enough to get them there. Number 3, I got the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, I love Philly. James Harden is the man. I think Joel Embiid, even though John still has his concerns on him going into the year and his longevity, I think they'll be fine if they manage him well, and he'll be a dominant MVP as always. At number 2, I got the Milwaukee Bucks. I think they're a model of consistency, and they're in the perfect position to beat down the Toronto Raptors in the first round. I just had to throw that in there for you, John. And at number 1, I got the Boston Celtics because why not? Boston is just too good. Jason Tatum is my MVP. There's not a better duo in the league than Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Couple that with Brogdon. They're 3-0 right now without Robert Williams on the floor too. I think the sky's the limit for the squad. So for the Western Conference, I'm rolling with the Pelicans in my 8 spot. I think the Pels, this is just the beginning of something very special for them. I think they'll compete with anybody. I think the talent is there, and if Zion is healthy, the sky's the limit for this team in the future. So much like Cleveland, I see them, you're going to see that potential this year. I just don't think it'll come to fruition. At number 7, I love Luka Doncic and the Mavericks, but they're not the same team that they were last year to me. I don't feel like they'll make that same run that they had. I think last season was magical. It was their best opportunity to get to the NBA Finals. They're just missing one more piece. At number 6, my GOAT of all time, nobody can bet against LeBron. In any playoff series, I think if you're going up against LeBron, you're probably a little scared. You never want to go into a 7-game set against that guy because anything is possible. So I'm going to roll with the Lakers there at 6. At number 5, I got Memphis. Memphis was amazing last season, but I don't see them pulling those same miracles off this time around. I think the West, if healthy, Memphis has to slide down. At number 4, I love the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm very high on them. Much like John, where did you have them? 1? Yeah, John had them 1. I'm not ready to put them there, but I do believe their ceiling is high. If the Ant-Man does take those steps, then maybe we'll see. And we'll see how Cat comes back, if he comes back healthy and strong the same way that we saw him last year. At number 3, I got the Clippers. I'm a big fan of the John Wall move. I think it makes them so much better. John Wall's still explosive. I'm just waiting for him to break out a Dougie, and it'll feel like all is right with the world. At number 2, I got the Golden State Warriors, your defending champs. They're going to be there at the end. You can book them for a trip to the conference finals. It's just a matter about who's going to play them. And I got my team that's going to play them. At number 1, I got the Denver Nuggets. That team healthy is going to body a lot of squads. Jamal Murray, when he comes back, I'm pumped to see him. MPJ, when he's healthy, I think that team is probably going to be the scariest team in the Western Conference. And that's why I have them coming out of the West as your Western Conference champions. And on the East side, I'm going to give it back to Boston. Now, I juggled with that because I wanted to pick Brooklyn. I'm sorry. I know you guys find it hilarious, but I'm a big believer in, I don't know, I like Cinderella stories. And I feel like every team that gets to an NBA Finals or any championship, they have a Cinderella story to it. And I think Brooklyn went through so much adversity in the offseason. Part of me just wanted to throw them in the NBA Finals because I could see things coming together. But I think Boston is just too good. Boston is just too good. And when everything is clicking on all cylinders, there's not a team in the East that's better. So all in all, the winner of that NBA Finals, I got Boston.
Awesome.
The hump. I think Boston wins the NBA Finals this year. I said it when we spoke about the finals before, when we first started the show. This team is going to contend for championships for a long time, and they're going to win a couple of championships too. I don't think there's a better young duo, young core than what the Boston Celtics have. I think this will be the first of many.
And Jason Tatum, Finals MVP?
Absolutely.
I'm really just jaded from the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay, yes, we're going the same way, John. All right, yeah, because we can. That's fine with your other takes. That's fine. Celtics, yeah, whatever. but I need to listen. I've defended Brooklyn enough on this show, and I shouldn't have even to begin with because they don't deserve my defending. But Justin, it's because you came at my Miami Heat. All right, listen. When you come for the king, you best not miss. All right, and
You weren't happy with the offseason either. I didn't say
Number one, okay. The Brooklyn Nets don't got culture. We got that. That word gets thrown around a lot, right? In
they
all
got 82
sports.
games worth.
Time out. Culture gets thrown around a lot, right? In all sports. People say culture, but they don't. A lot of teams don't really have it. Guess what? The Miami Heat do have the culture. It comes from the top to the down. All right. Mickey Harrison to Pat Riley to Eric Spoelstra to Jimmy Butler. All right. Okay. That's how it works. There is no accountability on the Brooklyn Nets. There is no leadership. There is no, like John says, where is the big man that's going to help guard a Giannis or an Embiid or a Jokic or these big other guys? They just got freaking Valanciunas was having his day. Valanciunas was having his day. Zion was freaking playing with Ben Simmons like he was some chew toy. Listen, this Brooklyn Nets team is fundamentally flawed. All right. If Kyrie and KD aren't performing at a superstar level, they got no shut. No, they didn't against the Pelicans.
Are we really gonna just dissect 2 games?
No, I'm just saying though. But I'm going off of what I've seen so far. And who's to say Kyrie's not going to take a sabbatical in the middle of the season because he's having a bad day? Huh? Because his car insurance came in and he couldn't handle that. Who's to say, like John says, Kyrie's injury-prone player. KD, dealing with injuries the last couple of seasons. Ben Simmons coming off back. Does Ben Simmons look like a changed player in the first 2 games, or he looks the same?
2 games.
The game does he look the same? Was better.
All right, so I'm not even going to use the word culture, but they have to define them. We don't know what the Brooklyn Nets are.
I know exactly what they are.
No, we don't. We don't know.
Do they have leadership?
We haven't seen them 3 on the floor together till this week.
Do they have leadership?
No.
Who's their leader?
People have
Kyrie Irving's their leader.
People have to step up.
Well, they have Patty Mills as well. You know,
listen, if you follow Kyrie Irving, you're an idiot. You're simple. You're an idiot. Okay. And KD showed his hand because he followed Kyrie. KD has no concerns being a leader. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want that. He's stated it openly. He just wants to go hoop. Kyrie considers himself a martyr. He likes to be the guy with the talking piece and talking out, and that's fine. I like to talk too. I like people to be the center of attention too. That's fine. But when you're spewing the kind of BS that he spews, it's time to close the yap. All right. Ben Simmons, he's not a leader. Steve Nash, how is he going to control these personalities? How is he going to get?
I feel like we've had this conversation enough. Can we talk about the rest of the team?
Okay, go. I mean, you wanted to get into the brother.
Nick Claxton. I know, but we've said this like a million times. I'm gonna be honest. I still want to talk about him. Nick Claxton looks really good right now, rebounding, rim protection, finishing. But the issue is he can't stay healthy, and they don't have a backup center in this team. Day'Ron Sharp and Ben Simmons to me is just in an entire regular season, the postseason, just not going to work. We'll see how Nick Claxton can or. He's probably not going to stay healthy, but we'll see. And Joe Harris made his debut after missing most of last season from an ankle surgery.
All right, fine. Let's move on from the Nets. Then I'll attack these points from you guys.
Before that, the point is what I get at, because you guys were the ones that highlighted the Nets. You guys, that was the one that you wanted to focus on when I finished my list.
I want to talk about the team, not just Kyrie.
Okay, but listen, at the end of the day, with every team in the NBA, with every team that we've mentioned that's at the top, what did we say? We all mentioned something about being healthy. We all mentioned something about being healthy. At the end of the season, come playoff time, this is going to be a completely different 8. It's going to be scattered and thrown in so many different directions for all of us. And why? And it's probably going to be because somebody got hurt. There's going to be some injury. There's going to be some lack of depth. And that opens the door for teams like a Brooklyn Nets, if they walk in there healthy, to take advantage, because nobody is going to guard Kyrie. Nobody can guard Kevin Durant. So it's the same thing. So it's all about playoff basketball is who's going to get hot.
Yeah.
and if Brooklyn gets hot, and if they find themselves in a series with
Mhm.
Cleveland, and if Cleveland isn't clicking on all cylinders, Brooklyn takes advantage of it in 6.
They
If
can
they
beat a
move on,
Cleveland.
if they take on a Milwaukee team that doesn't have a healthy Chris Middleton, boom, next thing you know, they're playing in the conference finals. It's just like that. One injury can change the whole course of this playoff run for any team.
Mhm.
But we also need Ben Simmons to play like a grown man. We saw a little bit more
You're
like
right.
that in his last game. The first game of the year, I was ready to throw up. It was embarrassing how bad he was. It looked like the Game 7 Atlanta series Ben Simmons. I'm not asking for Ben to take perimeter jumpers. I'm asking for him to attack the rim and put pressure inside, which is something he's not doing quite enough of. Now, he hasn't played in over 18 months. The bright side is on the perimeter, this team is very deep. I talked about their front court depth, but you have Patty Mills, Seth Curry, and Joe Harris coming off the ankle surgeries. But beyond that, Royce O'Neal had a big time game winner versus the Raptors. This team really just does need some reinforcements at the center spot, and I would look at them under a much more positive light. But currently speaking, they just don't have a center, and a conference that has the center talent, I think that's the biggest issue with them right now. It's not necessarily Kyrie missing games because they was capable to do that. He hasn't had the same, situation as last year. And Kevin Durant as well is an MVP caliber player when he has that level of support. So they can be a top 6 seed. I just think injuries are really going to hurt them and set them back in the regular
They
season.
also need a head coach too. But let me get to the point that I wanted to also the well, you guys were coming at the Clippers, right? You said continuity. They're not gonna, there's not a lot of continuity with this team. Are they gonna stay healthy? But you guys both have the Denver Nuggets making it to the finals. If I'm not mistaken, Jamal Murray is coming off a torn ACL. If I'm not mistaken, Michael Porter Jr.'s biggest drawback is what? His injuries, right? His back, to be more specific. So what is the difference? I ask you.
The Nuggets' issue was defense. They've looked terrible defensively through 3 games. Jamal Murray, I'm not worried about his knee, though it's going to take him some time to ramp up. Michael
Yeah.
Porter Jr., even if he goes down, this Nuggets team has a lot of depth on the wings. Ultimately, for Denver, the thing that will set them back is the rim protection, the
Who do you who
defense.
oh so that's what I'm saying though. And what does the Clippers do best? Play defense.
They create mismatches and advantages with two
They,
of the
yeah,
best teams in the
they
league.
got a lot of good defenders that they can throw at you. They can shoot the ball well. Listen, I don't think Kawhi is going to get injured again. I agree with the load management. He's going to get load managed. That's fine with me. I don't really see a concern with that. You got to take your time with him. But I see, I look at Denver and I look at the Clippers and I'm high on both teams. I like both teams. I just don't see I don't see how you can have drawbacks with the Clippers and not have those same drawbacks with the Denver
Nuggets.
Nuggets. Yeah.
I think there's just different concerns with those two teams. The Clippers are more built for the postseason, whereas the Nuggets are more built for a high floor and regular season success. The Clippers' issue, though, is Nikola Jokic, he can lead this team to 50 wins in the second round by himself. By
Uh-huh.
himself. This Clippers team, Paul George goes down, and Kawhi has the world on his shoulders. This
They're
team is
done.
very flawed. If Jamal Murray goes down, with Michael Porter Jr. and all of the versatility that this team has in the wings, Aaron Gordon, Christian Braun had a huge night, absolute monster shooting performance last night. There's a
John,
lot of things going right for this Nugget team where they can still wave off or, kind of overcome that one injury.
you want to know what though? I don't agree with if Kawhi goes down, yes, then they're dead in the water. But if Paul goes down, I don't think they're dead in the water because I think that this team is very deep. They've got a lot of good players, and I think we've seen what Kawhi can take a team where he is the guy, and he's got a bunch of really good players around him. Great coaching. I could see them again making a deep run.
More
Now, will they
depth.
get through a Golden State fully stacked without Paul George? That's going to be a tough one, but I think that he can bring them to 7 games.
Okay.
But yeah, so here's a question. Who did you guys have in your conference finals again? Denver versus Golden State?
Denver
Well, that's mine.
Clippers.
Denver and Clippers, and Justin, you were
Golden State.
Denver versus Golden State. And okay, so who do you have knocking out the Clippers, Justin? Golden State or Denver?
Golden State.
Golden State knocking out the Clippers. Okay. And John, you have the You had the Clippers
Warriors.
knocking out the Golden State, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to get clarity on that. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, indeed. So the next topic, what's the name of it? Okay.
On
Sound
to
the
the
alarm.
next.
Sound the alarm. I'm gonna give you guys NBA teams. You're gonna tell me. Okay. You're gonna tell me whether
That's
you're
your alarm?
interested or not.
The
First
best I
team
can.
up, the Los Angeles Lakers. The
Yeah.
expectations for this team to make it out the first round. Are you out?
I'm making it out of the first round. Am I out? Seeing where I have them seated as the number 7 seed and they'd be going up against my championship team, the Clippers. Yes, I'm out on that.
Uh
If they
Yeah.
can get to a 5th or 4th seed and match up with one of those teams, that's saying a lot though. If they get that high, then they can get past the first round. But if they're anywhere from like 6 to 8, that's tough.
Yeah, no, I'm with Brandon there because I have them at my 6th seed and I have them going up against the Clippers first round. I don't think that's a pretty matchup. So yeah, I'm out unless they're a 4th or 5th.
Unless they make a move, big move.
Next team up, the Chicago Bulls. Are they making the playoffs?
No, they're done. I'm sorry, I'm not in on the Bulls whatsoever. I could name you a bunch of teams that are better than them, and I'll be honest, I do think the Knicks will finish higher than them this year.
The Knicks have a higher floor by far. You know, a couple guys going out for the Knicks, they're still going to be very competitive.
Yeah.
And whereas with the Bulls, you know, Zach LaVine, he just came back with his knee injuries. You don't know when that's going to flare up. And I'm basically expecting Lonzo to not be himself for this entire season.
I'll say I'm in, but I could see them being out.
Next team up, I'm not going to use the Nets because we talked about them ad nauseum. The Phoenix Suns. Very big statement win over the Warriors on opening night, but they lack depth. Can they make it past the second round to the conference finals?
You know, I'm out. I gotta say I'm out. I feel like their championship window kind of shut. I feel like they had an opportunity to really elevate themselves and go after Kevin Durant to, put themselves above the rest. And I see the same team, if not worse. I think the window's closed.
Yep, I think they're. I think they can be a good regular season. Like I put them at number 4. But yeah, in the playoffs, it's going to be hard if they match up against the Pelicans, Denver, Clippers, or Golden State.
That's where I'm worried. Their wing depth. If Cam Johnson is dealing with an injury like he has last year, you're going to Torrey Craig and Damian Lee. After that, there is literally no one you can count on off of their bench. And Dario Saric, who is supposed to be one of their most valuable bench reserves, is coming off of a torn ACL. So I'm a little bit lower on them as well. Last team, rough loss the other night versus the Utah Jazz. The Minnesota Timberwolves. Can they make it past the first round?
No.
By the way, since this is sound the alarm's not in and out, I want to get us saying I'm sounding the alarm more. I'm not sounding the alarm.
Okay.
Sound the goddamn alarms. They ain't making it out the first round. Get dunked on by Laurie Marketing, Defensive Player of the Year. My ass. Get the hell out of here.
Best
You gotta
defender
do your
in the last
alarm
2
sound,
decades.
That's sound it everywhere. Sound all the freaking alarms. They ain't
I'm not
going
sounding the
nowhere,
alarm on
brother.
these guys.
They ain't going nowhere, brother.
I'm not sounding the alarm. I still believe. I think this segment is also it's rough because we're 2-3 games into an NBA season.
I would have said the same thing 2-3 games ago.
Like last year, the
That's
Celtics and the
insane.
Mavericks both made it to the conference
Call me
finals.
insane.
Like last year, the Mavericks were
Yeah.
not going to start the year, neither were the Celtics. So that is true. But hey, Justin, that's the point of the show. That's why we're
Yeah,
here.
no, and I'm with that. So I won't sound the alarm on the Timberwolves. I can't. I think this team is too talented, and when pieces start to come together, if they're healthy, we need to see what Cat is going to look like. I want to see Ant-Man take that next step. I think we're all waiting for that because I think when that happens, these T-Wolves are going to be super exciting.
Taking flight,
So-
kid.
Yeah, man. So I don't give up on these guys yet.
Okay, so talk about a team that you're giving up on, the New York Yankees. Justin, you don't have to make this a long segment because it's probably going to be short and simple. Why can't the Yankees beat the Astros one time?
why can't we beat the Astros? Because we can't hit. I'll tell you one thing. I'm not one of those fans. I know a lot of Yankee fans that went into the series and said the Astros were just so much better than we were. And I don't think they're here, and I think we're right here. And the reason being why I feel like this series isn't as competitive as it should be is because the Yankees are missing two players in the names of DJ LeMahieu and Andrew Benintendi, two guys who are bat to ball kind of players. They put together a great at bat. They make contact, and they're on base for your big boppers. They can get on base and they could drive in runs. And I feel like losing out on them, and so then you lose those two, and instead you're playing Matt Carpenter, who has been injured the whole second half of the season, and you're playing Josh Donaldson, who looks confused every time he sees a curveball. There's no plate approach in this team whatsoever. They can't move a runner over. Like I said earlier when we started the show, they can't hit right-handed power pitching. They're striking out at an alarming rate. Struck out 17 times in game one. I don't think we're a bad team. I just don't think that. I just don't feel like their heart's in it at the moment. I'll be honest with you. You watch this game, and there's no juice coming out of there. I don't know if you're familiar. You know the baseball player Hunter Pence. So I remember back with the Giants, he rallied everybody up together in the dugout, and he gave like this motivational speech. I don't know if it was before the game or during the game, but you felt the energy. And I don't see any of that coming out of this team when the Yankee Stadium, which we call the Bronx Zoo, it's supposed to be a jungle in there. When it's completely silent, you give away our home field advantage, and it's just a place where the Astros are comfortable now. They're laughing at us. And I don't want to say the series is over because I'm a believer in, like I told you guys with basketball, it's who's the hot team going into the postseason. All it takes is a bloop and a blast, and next thing you know, you're rolling. So I'm not going to doubt my team. I believe we're capable of winning 4 straight games, but will it happen? It's unlikely. I think my mind is more set on the off season now, but I will be rooting on my team tonight. I will be watching because I wouldn't feel like a true fan if I didn't.
I'm just confused because you have Aaron Judge, you have Giancarlo Stanton. Is he even playing this series?
Yeah,
He is.
yeah.
I feel like you guys should have the response to power pitching. You know what I'm saying? With those two guys and the reputation that comes with how successful, and especially Judge this year, how freaking good he has been, that wouldn't be the problem for y'all.
Well, that's also just a credit to the Astros. The Astros came in there with an awesome game plan. They know how to pitch. They knew the recipe to get us out, and they've just executed more than we have. Because if you go back and watch games 1 and games 2, the Yankees were in position to win some of those games, and all it would have taken was, like I said, a bloop base hit, a single up the middle, a double in the gap, just one hit could do the difference. But nobody's stepping up to the plate. Nobody's going in there being that guy. And if you don't have that person stepping up, and if it's not Aaron Judge, where's it coming from? I remember Nestor Cortez said, "We move how Aaron Judge moves." Okay, well, guess what? Aaron Judge has been terrible this October. So are you guys going to just follow that too? Who's going to step up? We got to win 4 now. Our back's against the wall.
Well, by the time people are watching this, it'll probably be over the series. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching and staying to the very end of episode number 41. Be sure to check out Bet Stamp. Link is in the description. And as always, we'll see you next time. Peace. Now, I keep forgetting the Bet Stamp promo. So, to say it.
Stay classy.